Hey everybody, thanks for joining in. Just going to do a bit of a demo on the Luminar 4 software. I do a lot of my rendering in DAZ Studio, and a lot of the touch-ups and things that I do afterwards I'll do in PaintShop Pro, or I will do in Luminar, or a combination of the two. I also use a couple of other bits of software as well. I use a Camera Bag Pro a fair bit as well, but just going to do a quick demo using Luminar 4 and see if we can't recover a render which I did that came out really badly, to be honest. So rather than re-render it, I thought let's chuck it into Luminar and see if we can bring it back to life. So here we go, let's see what we can do. I'm just going to load it into a single image. I'm not going to load up a whole folder full of images into Luminar. We'll just do the one at this stage. So this is my image. It's a bit dark and just a bit dirty. I quite like the dirty feel, that's what I was going for, but it just came out a bit dark and a bit flat. So I thought, well, let's see if the portrait features within Luminar could do anything to help it along. So okay, so the first thing I thought I would do is have a bit of look at the color temperature. I thought it was a little bit orange for what I wanted. So if we go into the light section of Luminar, actually let's back it up a little bit and give you a bit of a rundown. So under Essentials, which is the little sunlight logo, I guess, gives you all the main features of Luminar. These are your basic enhancements, changing the brightness and contrast and the usual sort of things that you would do in Photoshop, or I use Corel's PaintShop Pro, but basic sort of image editing things that you would do. There is a few AI things that you can do in Luminar here as well. The big thing with Luminar is the automation and the artificial intelligence with it. It does some really good things with the Luminar looks. I'll probably go into them in detail in another video, but just for this stage we're going to use a little bit of the AI, but we're not going to use the looks features. So basically you've got your essentials, you've got a few, it's called creative, and it can give you some of that more creative feel to the photos. If you're doing portraiture or landscapes, it's very focused on landscapes, but it works really well for portraits as well. I'll go into a couple of them, but probably not too many. You've got your dedicated portrait settings in here. The skin enhancer I'll use a bit of. It's good for removing pimples and freckles and things like that. Personally, when I'm doing a portrait, I actually like to have a lot of detail and a lot of let's call them flaws in the skin. I think it's important to have the detail of the person that you're taking the photo of. Obviously you want them to look really good, but I do believe that a lot of the details in the skin need to remain, but being 3D models and things like that, usually they're very good anyway. But we'll take a look through some of these. This AI portrait enhancer probably won't work great on this image, but it's something which I will run through some of the settings on as well. And then under Pro, you've got your contrast and gradients, but it does their advanced settings, so you can adjust the highlights, the midtones and shadows. So all right, let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to light. So what I want to do is just sort of cool the picture down a bit, sort of desaturate it a little bit. So dragging the temperature down does that a little bit. Let's see what changing the tint does. So we can push it all the way into the pinks. I mean, you could warm up the photo quite a lot, but for this particular one I want it a little bit dirty and a little bit muted colours. We'll change the exposure just a little bit just to bring it up, because it was a little bit dark in my original. I don't want to introduce too much noise, but it's not going to matter too much with this photo. It's already got quite a bit of noise going on, and I'm not going to use it at full resolution anyway. It's just going to end up on Instagram, so it's only going to be small. So we can bring up the brightness a little bit. And that should make it look a little bit better. So using the AI Enhance, you can let the computer work out how to enhance the photo. The sky enhance is grayed out because the computer knows that there is no sky in this photo. Again, you know, you can push it all the way and it does a pretty good job. It does introduce a little bit more noise into the image, but the AI side of things does a very, very nice job. Don't really want to push it that far. I'll bring it back just a little bit. The AI structure, that focuses on things like pores and the crow's feet and things like that. There is masking tools so that you don't apply particular enhancements to areas, which is good to have. I'll just go into the color here as well. If we remove the color cast and change some of the vibrancy settings, that should sort of mute the picture a little bit, cool it down to make it a little bit more grey and a bit of a cooler picture, because we want it to look a bit rustic and dirty. So I don't want to go as far as converting it to black and white. You certainly can, you know, click of a button. I find that just the convert to black and white is a little bit flat, so we won't be doing that. So you can do a details enhancer on here as well. You can try and pull out, if we zoom in, now I know this is a bit of a grubby photo, but the pores in the skin and the lines on the face, you can adjust these sliders, so you can try and drag out some of the extra details, the fine details. Now, because this render is a bit grainy to start with, it's going to not do a good job. But that's not the software's fault. I guess that's the nature of this particular picture. It's a low quality. You know, it was bad to start with, but we're just trying to rescue it. So we've made a couple of photos. There is a denoise on here as well. I find there, for this kind of image, these are color speckles that are in here. So you can do the color denoise, but it does tend to make the photo a little bit blurry. So I've found, you know, in PaintShop Pro, if you use the denoise or despeckle in there, it works a little bit better. But it all depends on what the outcome of your picture is. If you want it, if you don't mind that little bit of softness to the photo, then it's okay. But I just find that's just a little bit soft focus for me, so I'll leave that as it is. Not a lot of point in using the landscape enhancer. It's very, very good if you want a nice warm photo. So if you are doing a landscape, you could use the golden hour slider, and that will give you a nice soft orange glow. May not work on this one because there's none of that orange in this one. So but yeah, that gives you a really punchy greens in your foliage if you use this one, and gives you a nice soft orange glow to enhance sunsets and things. So like I say, we've made a couple of changes, and you can see which ones you've changed because they highlight, they become bold. So we didn't make any changes in here, and as you can see, it's a slightly different intensity to the other one, so you can see where you've been. Up the top here, you actually have a preview button. So when you click this, it will take you back to the original image and let you see the new one that you've created. So that's the original, and that's the new one. There is a side-by-side that you can do, which is also very good if you're changing things on the fly. You can do a half and half, so you can see how well you're doing and whether or not you need to undo some of the changes you've made. Okay, so I'm just going to pause the video there. We're going to pick it up again in a second video. I needed to split this video into two pieces because it was a little bit too long. So we'll pause it here and pick it up again in part 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video, and you can check out some of my other images that I've done on Instagram under Hot Dog Telepathy. Thanks a lot.